What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Some Joyful Noise. I am one of today's hosts for this festive episode of the show. My name is Joe. I am back. Apparently, I am going to become the holiday guy around here. Last time you all saw me was for Halloween music, and so never say never. Apparently, I'm here to talk about Christmas music, which this should get interesting. And I am joined by the man himself, Evan. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. Good to be here. Good to be here. Merry Christmas. Jingle all the way. Keep the change, you filthy animal. All that good stuff.
You forgot Happy Festivus for the rest of us
Festivus,
for all those who practice.
yeah. For all, yes.
So yeah, we're here to talk about Christmas music, right? And the long and the short of it is, for everybody who doesn't want to hang out for the next however long we're going to be recording, Christmas music sucks. Have a good day. No, I'm playing. I'm not though. I have a weird relationship with holiday music myself.
Sure.
I don't necessarily dig Christmas carols personally, but it just so happens that one of my favorite genres of music is very synonymous with Christmas time because of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I
Heck yeah.
love orchestral metal, orchestral rock, like that whole scene of blending power chords and big bombastic sounds with classical music.
Yeah.
To me is absolute perfection. And when you think about that, for better and for worse, because there is a whole world out there outside of the Christmas time, one of the most famous examples of it is during the Christmas season. So from my end, I hope you all are ready for a good solid episode of me singing the praises of TSO as my go-to. So Evan, where are you at on the whole Christmas music thing?
Christmas music. There's a soft spot for, it's the stuff I grew up with, like the classics. You would go to church and go to that like 12-hour Christmas Eve service that you have a bunch of candles and they sing and they keep singing and they keep singing, and we might have some snacks after. But no, yeah. And then there's like a Christmas shoes on that spectrum too, where it's like that overblown kind of too much emotional kind of stuff. Yeah. And I really do appreciate the Trans-Siberian Orchestra stuff, because I have a funny story about that one, because I was doing a project for my TV production class. I was a junior in high school, yeah, and I was looking for some music because I wanted some Christmas music, and my dad goes, "Hey, try this track," and then he gives me the CD. Then I rip it to the computer, blah blah blah, and I did and I had listened to them before, but that never really clicked yet. I was like, holy moly, this stuff is amazing. Like, it just completely captured me and the different layers of everything. Yeah. So there's that. And then that kind of started the journey of trying to find my Christmas music, like the same way that I have kind of like hip hop music, but there's more of the underground scene and the different kind of alternative scenes and stuff that I like. So I've always tried to find that within the Christmas music, and I've not been disappointed. So
yeah. So it's interesting for me because there are hymns that I appreciate that I wish were associated with Christmas, but generally are not. Not having grown up in the church, I don't really have like a big history with, Hark the Herald and Mary Did You Know, which I have to say, I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now.
She
That
did
is the
not.
most
She did not
aggravating.
know.
She did not know. Seriously, the first time, Mary, did you know? No, she didn't. End the song like that. Oh, that music is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Um, I told
Yeah,
you guys this is not going to be your average Christmas music episode.
I
Uh,
agree with you, man.
but
That's a fun one.
but I found this weird soft spot when it comes to Christmas music in the form of soundtracks. Now, I am a
Oh,
huge fan of soundtrack music, especially orchestral soundtrack music. I think that some of those songs are actually, coincidentally enough, a lot of, for those of you that heard the Halloween episode, a lot of that same sentiment that I talked about before, about how there are some beats, there are some songs that don't have a single lyric to them, but they just transport you to a particular time, to a particular place, to
yeah,
a particular thought or memory. It's so real even here as well, because you have something like Home Alone, right? I am
that
of
was
that
sick.
vintage that Home Alone was a
Same.
huge part of my
Home
childhood.
Alone one
And
or
so you
two?
hear that music. Oh, one, absolutely one.
One, okay. Two kind of stands out for me a little bit more. Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
sure, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's as long as your answer isn't 3, then it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly
That doesn't
acceptable.
exist. Yeah,
Uh,
no way.
yeah. No, I actually hadn't seen anything past the second one until a couple of years ago, when my wife and I decided to watch through all of them. I knew that they existed, but I never took the time because I had already aged out, and I'm like, this isn't the same thing.
Right?
And especially the third one, who tries to play it like it's the same person just recast. I'm good on that.
Really? Oh
But
no.
it yeah, the third one, at least the fourth one does something entirely different, but the third one definitely tries to play like it's still Kevin McAllister, just as a different
Right.
as a different actor. Um, but that style of Christmas music for me is more impactful. Um, I do have a soft spot for the Grinch. The Grinch is so Christmas. The Grinch is so Christmas. I think is one of those holiday movies that really stands out for me. So that song is kind of in there. Um, I laugh at like Dominic the Donkey, because I am Italian. That
Okay.
song
Yes,
is
gotcha.
so absurd
Yeah.
that it's funny in like a trolling people kind of way, because other people get so annoyed at that song. But yeah, there's this whole world that exists on YouTube of folks that have made like remixes or have done their own versions of like metal infused songs, like Carol of the Bells and Hark the Herald, and God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, and these songs that they give a new life and a new spin to,
Mhm.
that just by turning up the intensity of this music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The name that comes to mind for me for that is all those August Burn Reds albums. August Burns Red.
Yeah,
They have a whole bunch of Christmas stuff, and it is that stuff is just perfect. Yeah, yeah. That's uh going back to Home Alone. I just know that part in part two where he's at the church, I think, or part one. I forgot now. Where he's walking out of the church and the music just kicks in. I'm like, oh, this is Christmas now. Like Christmas is starting now. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Um, Sleeper classic for me is the soundtrack to Die Hard. The
Oh yeah, yeah,
soundtrack to Die Hard
yeah.
is so good and so quintessential Christmas, because I will not be taking any questions at this time, but Die Hard is not just a Christmas movie, it is the Christmas movie.
There you go. I think. I think. I think that Buddy the Elf might have a word with you, though.
Uh, okay, so top five worst Christmas movies of all time. Elf, Elf,
No way.
Elf in Spanish,
That's awesome.
Elf.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's
That's
so,
funny.
like,
Nah,
if
yeah, that's
somebody
cool. That's
made
cool.
Cotton Candy into a movie, it would be that movie. I do not understand how, like, maybe I'm just a little too nihilistic for Buddy the Elf, but it's just so bad. But
Uh,
But yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, I do think that there's something powerful though for anybody who does dig this. Like, yes, my whole shtick in this is ribbing people about
Yeah.
like standard Christmas traditions and all of that sort of jazz. But I do think that there is power for anybody who connects with this season, and especially for folks that are, that there's good memories tied into this music, or there's something special that happens when you watch that movie that has a soundtrack that I think, much like some of the other holidays that we talk about, this is one that, even though it's not necessarily my cup of tea, I can see how this can be something incredibly impactful for folks with a soundtrack of your youth, or a soundtrack of a period of time, that
Right.
as you grow up or as you move forward in life, it provides a checkpoint that you can go back to, and a space that you can revisit as you move forward into different parts of your life.
Yes. Yeah. Same. Yeah. Because everyone has their they have their diehards. They have their Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and it's cool to see that. And for me, it's one that I got into. I I always wanted to get into it because I knew it existed. It was an album by this band called Capital Lights from the early 2000s, and I knew they had a Christmas album, but I just kept putting it off. I kept forgetting about it. But then just a few years ago, the podcast I was listening to, they brought it up, and I said, "That's it. I'm going to listen to it now." And I was like, I knew it. I knew I was going to love this album. It's so good. It's so good. And they do a version of the Christmas shoes that is not so emotionally manipulative. It's like it's it works, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that I had that a splash of nostalgia, because I was like, but it was new too, because they were like in the style from that band from the early 2000s. And man, yeah, yeah, and that really stuck with me. One thing that I want to bring up is kind of like your Trans-Siberian Orchestras, um, the like electronic stuff, electronic Christmas music.
Mm. Yeah.
I love that stuff. The like trance and the weird, quirky European pop stuff. So that stuff has a special point in my heart, like the joy electrics of them all, stuff like that. Like that stuff I still put on, and my kids start bopping to it too. I'm like, all right, cool, cool.
That's funny. Yeah, for me, I could definitely see that, and I could, especially because so much of the Christmas music is so much of the base of Christmas music is kind of a blank canvas. So I'm one of the reasons why I keep end up showing up on the show is I am a musician. I went from playing like radio stuff to metal, and then moved from metal over to blues, and that's kind of the home
Run.
that I've lived in for quite a while. And now at this point, I'm not necessarily specifically just blues. I'm anything that makes you feel something. Like I beg of music to make me feel something. And
Yeah.
so much of Christmas music is this blank canvas that you can turn the volume up on different areas of it or add certain things to it that a gives you an opportunity, whatever it is. Let your flag fly, whatever your flavor is. If you want to sit there and listen to Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, or Jingle Bells, or any of that other nonsense, I'll pray for you, but you go in peace.
You do you.
If for Yeah, exactly. If it's more of that electronic side where you're adding some different flair to it, awesome, do that. If it's the bass stuff, but with power accompaniment, with metal and stuff like that, that's awesome too, and everything in between. But one of the things that I think really stands out about Christmas music in a way that isn't necessarily true with all other types of music, especially holiday centric music, is it is designed in a way that elicits an emotional response. And that's why,
Mhm.
for me, kind of tipping my hand a little bit, I do have a soft spot for, as much as I rag on Christmas carols and all of that sort of jazz, the ones that actually, like, as a pastor, the ones that actually elicit like that emotional response, or elicit a posture that's based out of a deep acknowledgement of the accuracy of the season and the significance of the season, and postures folks to be able to um meet Jesus here in a way that extends out for just December 25th, but actually speaks to the deeper significance of a life lived that isn't just corn poppy, I'm going to ignore real life, but no, I'm actually going to touch
Mhm.
on this, and I'm
Mhm.
actually going to make you feel a thing. That is something really, really special to me. And that's actually that whole idea of feeling something, in that idea of enjoying that blend of the rock and metal and Christmas music, was part of why I actually played in a TSO tribute band for a
Cool.
little while, called the Kings of Christmas.
Nice.
And so
Nice.
that was, yeah, that was an interesting experience. I found out about them after I've seen TSO 5 times. Yeah, I've seen TSO 5 times. As I was
Right on.
actually, my wife and I dated in high school, and it was actually our first concert. And it was the first time that I was shown this whole world of lights and stage presence, and the fact that a concert could be more than just
Dude,
music,
oh
that it can
my,
be an
yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And that it opened this whole new world to me, and I wanted to be able to give that to other people. And so that was the whole thing behind Kings of Christmas. And that has played into other portions of my time as a musician. But I can see how anybody resonates with any of these different offshoots and stylings of Christmas music.
Yeah, and yeah, like all those different styles and the different things, they're just kind of they're just on top of what is Christmas music, is to point back to the reason of the season, the to point back
Yep.
to the reason why we are singing these songs. And that's that's a deeper level of kind of the music, like music with a purpose, and I can really appreciate that. And that's how that works with so many people, and it works with so many flavors, because it's a general um, truth, I guess, that permeates through all the different versions of it all. For sure, for sure. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever been to a like just strictly like Christmas concert of some sort. Yeah, no, that would be cool to go to something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think I think it's ironic because I ended up, I had played in that band, but then ended up for quite a long while just not doing the whole like Christmas thing, between
Sure.
just not being a Christian, and also, not like being in in the restaurant business. It was just it would I always embraced the idea of working during that time because I was off on my own and doing all of that stuff. But life is weird. But I do think that to get weird for a second. I think there is something to what you're saying, that when you have absolute truth, when you have foundational reality, the conveying that reality has a very real impact on the world around us. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, there's a lot of things about Christianity that get co-opted and said are absolute truth that absolutely are not truth. But
I like
the
where you're going with this.
foundational
Yeah.
reality that you yeah, with the foundational realities that you are loved, that you are cherished, that you are valued. Just, I don't know who needs to hear that, but if you draw breath, if you are alive right this very second, you are
Hmm.
loved, you are cherished, you are valued because you bear the image of the Creator. And then you have the foundational truth of the significance of, okay, so a baby was born, and that baby was a fulfillment of a promise centuries prior, that centuries later that happened, and now centuries later we live in the context
Hmm.
that we live now. And so as we translate that core truth and those core tenets, there is a metaphysical presence that's translated with that core truth. And so I
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
you have these different flavors of Christmas music. You know what I mean? The ones
Yeah.
that are hitting to that very present reality. I wonder if it is, at least at part, an aspect of that enduring truth that makes it so widely applicable to different genres, different styles, different contexts.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Like it's like everyone can own it, but still it still exists in the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the spot. Top 5 Christmas songs.
Christmas songs. All right. So let's do um Joy to the World, classic. Wait, I don't know how to rank these. I'm just spitting them out. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine. No particular order.
Okay. Okay. Joy to the World. Um A Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. Love that song so much. That's probably number one. And then, kind of a side note, I came across. Oh my gosh! So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go down some rabbit trails here, if you don't mind. I found
Yep.
myself a few years ago, like because of my age, I'm in my almost 40 and I still appreciate the music from like 20, 30 years ago, but I realized that I was listening to the same like 20 songs, and I was just like, no, 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 this I can't be that guy. I can't be that guy that listens to the same 20 songs, and my kids hate them all. It's like, no, no, no. I need to dig. I need to find some new music. I will like the same genre and stuff, but I hope there's new music out there, preferably in the Christian style of like the of the Tooth and Nail labels from the 2000s and the mid 90s. So I just went digging, and I found some bands, and I'm like, hell yeah, they are like in their 20s, super young kids. They don't get my jokes or nothing, but it's good stuff. And I'm like, yes, good. And then one of them, they are big Star Wars fans, and the lead singer plays with a Luke's lightsaber microphone, and then they have some Star Wars covers, and then they'd have a cover of The Wonderful Christmas Time. I was like, you guys can't be more perfect for me. What is this? You're like the perfect band for me.
That's awesome.
They are called they're a pop punk band called Brave Days. So yeah, yeah. Very, very good stuff. So Wonderful Christmas Time. Um I'm trying to there was off of that one album that Capital Lights Christmas. What was it? His Favorite Christmas Story by Capital Lights. That's a solid one. That's what, to 3 or 4?
Yep. That's 3.
All right. Reliant K has one that I like. Oh yeah, the 12 Days of Christmas. Their version of 12 Days of Christmas it makes me want to like punch a tree, but in a fun way, It's like, yeah. Oh, I want to punch a Christmas tree, but in all the best way. Let's see, one more. I don't know. As much as I give it crap and it's so cheesy, it's that Christmas shoes song, man. Like, there's a reason, like what we were saying, there's a reason why people make so many different versions of it, and why, because it's about special point in a child's life, so probably that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have Wonderful Christmas Time on my bingo card. I did not
Oh,
think
really?
that you were gonna say
Nice.
that. That one's
I
for me.
love that song.
The best part is I know exactly what song you're talking about. That was on the radio a lot as a kid growing up. I'm of the same vintage as you are, so
Right on.
I remember that music from 20,
Heck
30
yeah.
years ago. So all right, so I got to go with Joy to the World, and there's a not the standard version. There are a dozen different hard rock metal sort of versions that are just that turn all of the beats of that up to 11, and for me incite those all of those feelings of that are associated with, like, for me, taking very seriously the redemption aspect of my faith, in the fact that we are something new, and we and I'm focusing
Right on.
on the aspects of our faith that aren't like dogmatic or nationalistic or any of those sorts of things, but to the very spiritual essence of the transformative aspects of the Christian faith. Joy to the World is like an anthem. That and
Yeah.
Amazing Grace are my two of my favorite, hymns, I guess you go with. But so Joy to the World is my first. Christmas Eve Sarajevo from TSO. It's
Oh,
so if
okay,
you
yeah, yeah.
guys if you all listening have no idea what I just said and you've heard one single TSO song, you've heard Christmas Eve Sarajevo. It's the one that plays on the radio and
Mhm,
all of that.
mhm.
There's I think they have a whole lot of stuff that maybe is better than that one, but it sits on that Mount Rushmore of Christmas music for me because it was the introduction for me. I remember hearing that on the radio for the first
I
time,
think
and
that
I
was
was
for me
like,
too, yeah.
yo,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm like, yo, what is this? Like, this is not
Same.
your mother's Christian or not your mother's Christmas music, man. Um, so that. Um, Happy Christmas, War is Over by John Lennon. And part of that
Ooh,
is because
yeah.
that was an anthem in
Oof,
my
yeah.
household growing up.
Oh,
It
okay.
my mother is a huge John Lennon fan. More so a John Lennon fan than a Beatles fan. And
Right.
that song just it has a soft spot for me. You know what I mean? Um God Rest You Merry Gentlemen is one that TSO did that I think is awesome. You know, I think that they do a version that integrates a couple of different um hymns and orchestral pieces through it that it isn't like a standard beat for beat rendition of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, but it is still um very very good. And then my last one is a newer song came out last year. It a An artist that I like a whole lot, um, named Lyric Noel. She's on YouTube.
Okay.
She does metal covers. She has she has some original stuff, but like she got really big with her rendition um of This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas, which again, Christmas movie, just saying, Nightmare Before Christmas, that's number 2 in my favorite Christmas
Yeah.
movie list.
Yeah.
Only behind Die Hard. Again, that's not just a Christmas movie, that's a Hallmark Christmas movie, I'm just saying. But she did a version of Carol of the Bells that just it captures everything that I love about that blending of
I see it.
metal and
Cool.
hard rock coupled with the Christmas, like it is just absolutely aces. If you are into that style of music, I would largely recommend go through all of TSO stuff and then find their Mozart driven stuff because they have a whole other album that's just Mozart music that they do in that same heavy style.
Right on.
And another one for Beethoven that they did that is just, oh, it's so good. But Lyric Noel's version of that and that YouTube's algorithm would let it take you down the rabbit hole
I love
because you
doing
will
that. Yeah.
find, oh yeah, you will find a whole lot of music out there from independent artists that are just folks that have either just done riffs on their own versions of it, or have utilized computer programs to create these different riffs on these different Christmas classics that are just, they're so creative and they're so impactful that if that's something that you dig and you're looking for a different flavor of Christmas music, I would definitely suggest going down that rabbit hole for sure.
Um, while you were talking, it just clicked on me that the Trans-Siberian Orchestra did a song with Lindsey Sterling. Do you know her?
Yeah,
She's
yeah, I know who she is. I
Remember
didn't know
her?
that they did a
Yeah,
song together.
apparently so. Yes, Carol of the Bells. They did one in
Oh,
2019. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was cool because she would bring in like the classical stuff, but like the whole like a nerdy side of it too, like the whole geek side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a huge fan of a lot of her stuff. Um, so yeah, I mean that's about the size of it. I think it's a time that absolutely has a soundtrack, and I just for take it from somebody that isn't necessarily at base level like a Christmas guy. I'm more of an Advent guy, not to split hairs or be overly religious, but I'm more of an Advent guy than a December 25th sort of guy. But there is power in exploring the realities that this is a time that you can pretty much find your personal flavor and spin on Christmas music if that's something that you are into.
Yeah. What about the acapella stuff like pentatonics? What do you think about that? Yay or nay?
I like their music. I haven't necessarily found any of their Christmas stuff particularly intriguing because for me it hits a little bit too much like the radio version of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
not like
yeah.
that radio aspect of it is so I when I was 19. Yeah, when I was 19, I worked in a C store, a convenience store, and it's one of the bigger ones where I'm at, and they had a radio that was like a many of those stores have a private broadcast radio that you
Hmm.
can pick from a handful of stations, but a lot of them co-opt it during the holidays and only play holiday music. And I had the displeasure of working at a C store during the holidays when that nonsense was playing on the radio on
Gotcha,
repeat, the same
gotcha.
10 songs. It
Mm.
is mind melting. And so for me, anything that kind of resembles that,
Yeah, Twitch.
not to be too hipster-ish about it, but
No, sure.
I'm not necessarily into the pop side of that. So but
I'm like
outside of
that
that,
too
I would
now.
say
Yeah.
they're yeah. I would say that I dig their stuff outside of that, though. You know what I mean? Like, as a musician,
Hmm.
I can appreciate what they do because acapella work is like voodoo
Yeah.
magic to me. I will never understand how folks can
Wow.
do
Yeah.
that kind of expressive stuff with their voices. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah. Yes, I liked them for a time, but I tried to listen to them now, and I kind of got that PTSD kind of feeling too. Like, oh nope, don't like this anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there was a phase where that's what I like. Like I was all about it. I was all about it.
yeah. So so for all of you listening, what I want you to do is if you didn't already know this, there is a Facebook group to go alongside the show. That the whole idea here is as I'm sure you've known by listening to the episodes, this is a show that has no hosts. And so maybe Evan and I will be back at another time, maybe not. And we'll leave the light on for the next folks that take up the mantle and host the next episode. But there is a Facebook group for you to join to just talk about all things music. It's not just specifically Christian music. I understand this is part of the Anazao Ministries podcast network, and so there is a Christian flavor to these things, and we've been talking about Christmas music, and so that has a Christian flavor to it. But it's not just for Christian music fans. It's for music fans of all walks of life. So if you haven't already, jump on over to Facebook and go ahead and join the group. If you look it up, Some Joyful Noise, you'll be able to find the Facebook group there. If you have listened to this for the last 40 minutes and you're like, wow, I need to hear more of Joe and Evan together, podcasting together, we got you covered. head on over and look up the show Systematic Geekology. First off, if you haven't been listening already, you're missing out because there's all kinds of awesome content over there to begin with. But you can find the special Thanksgiving edition of Systematic Geekology that both of us were part of with Pastor Will and with Pang, talking about The Bear and that masterpiece of a TV show. So if you want to hear us talk about that, you can go ahead and head on over there. But I think for now, that's it. That's all. That's a wrap. Thank you all for joining us. And until next time, peace, guys.
Peace.
All right.